Howdy. Today we are beginning the long, arduous process of making a taco. But before we make a taco, we of course need the ingredients. When I was a young lad, a little child, I was bullied verbally and physically quite a lot for a few years. I was told the classic adage, "Jacob, just be yourself and people will like you." Sadly, that advice did not deliver. However, I persisted onwards because I wanted friends, I wanted social acceptance, and maybe a girlfriend someday. We're still working on that last one. Hopefully we'll get there. But it still didn't work. People continuously socially alienated me, and my friends sometimes habitually excluded me from plans. The overall torment of stress, torment, rejection, and bullying manifested in depression and various suicide attempts. 2014, I was committed to a mental hospital for a brief term where I was diagnosed with Asperger's and autism spectrum disorder. Now you may be wondering, Jacob, throwing all these words out here. What is autism? Well, that I am very happy to define for you. You see, autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder. We're not going to do that. That's too cliche. You can go find that in a little psychology textbook or on Wikipedia. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to take that little definition, bundle it up in a little ball, shove it sideways, and throw it in the trash. But what I can tell you about is what life is like for people like me. But I want you to be aware. When you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. So while I can't speak for everyone, we do share some common experiences. So let us begin. I hope you enjoy my food puns for tonight. Because if you don't, I'll keep you here forever. I want you to imagine yourself going to your town's newest hangout spot you've never been to before, and you only know 3 people that are going to be there, your 3 friends, all 3 of them. And you've never been there before, so you can't properly prepare yourself, but you gotta try anyway. So you start preparing, maybe you practice your rituals, maybe you put on your headphones, listen to 9 Inch Nails in your room for an hour, pace around back and forth. Anyway, it's time to go, and you get in your car and you get there. All of a sudden, the stress starts building. There are hundreds of people there, and you start to feel everything. Your sensory stuff starts ticking you off. You smell all the body odor, hear all the loud conversations and music, see all the intense flashing lights, and there's barely any room between you and anyone else. I know, it sucks. But suddenly, you see your friends. They're sitting there at their table. So, before you make your way over there, start putting on the mask. Now, you may be wondering, Jacob, what is the mask? Well, you see, masking is when we put on a front and act in order to fit in, to be more socially accepted. I'm actually doing it right now. I'm putting on a more eccentric and sociable manner in order to gauge a more proper, a more positive response from my audience. I hope it's working, because if it's not, I'm going to be very disappointed. And in fact, I could take off at any moment and show you just how uncomfortable I am with public speaking, but I hate to do that, so let's move on. But before we move on, I'd like to say one last thing. So while masking may socially work for a while, we may gain some acceptance, after a while, kind of backfires as they get more used to us and see more of our actual personalities. People often drift away. But anyway, you sit down with your friends, and the conversation begins. You'd hate to, so rudely interrupt someone, so you usually stick quiet until there's a lengthy pause, or unless you're spoken to first. It takes a while. But while all this is going on, all the stress from all the sensory stimulants keeps building and building and building in the background. So what do you do to escape it? Maybe you put on your headphones, block out the noise. Maybe you put on some sunglasses and look down to avoid eye contact with random strangers in the crowd. That really bugs me. But it keeps building and building and building and building and building. You start stimming. You see, stimming is this repetitive motion that we do to focus and to combat uneasiness. For example, I may flap my arms, shake my knee, or rock back and forth while sitting down. But eventually, Stress reaches the point of no return, and you have to leave. As you make for the exit, maybe someone makes a pass at you, tries to hit on you, but you're completely socially oblivious to it. You don't understand hints. What are those? So, trust me, I've been there before. But anyway, you get in your car, you go home, and as soon as you get to your room, it happens. You have a shutdown or a meltdown. A shutdown is, as its name implies, you basically stop working, you stop operating. Maybe you get down in the fetal position, cry for a few hours. We've all been there before. And a meltdown can look like a really intense temper tantrum on the outside, but on the inside, it can feel more like a horrendous and painful panic attack. Hey, maybe you lose conscious control of your body. I've been there before. It's not fun. But that's the way that the cookie crumbles. And this isn't everything. It's just the tip of the iceberg, the tortilla of our taco, as you will. For example, our social difficulties can ruin job interviews or TEDx speeches like it's doing right now. Plus, there's also the next part, my favorite part of a taco, the beans and the rice, how people treat us. It's been found that neurotypicals generally feel more uncomfortable around us. This has led to a lot of negatives of abuse and alienation. For example, 63% of us are bullied as children. We also have more prevalent rates of domestic child abuse, neglection, child rape, on and on. It gets rough. We have a life expectancy of 36.2 years in the United States, and 2/3 of us consider suicide. Our difficulties developing social connections can even impact your college life and beyond. For example, you can have difficulties finding compatible roommates, references for job applications, or professional connections. Unfortunately, these sad trends also extend economically. You see, about 17% of us live independently as young adults. And our unemployment rate is higher across the board regardless of education level. Plus, many of us as young adults rarely ever hold a job in the first place. And to go back to social connections, we rarely ever have a successful long-term romantic relationship, and adults typically have 0 to very few very close friends. But that leaves us with one question. But before we get to that question, I forgot something. How much we make? You see, per hour on average, you generally make about $8.10. However, people with other mental impairments, disorders, whatever you want to call them, generally make between $11 and $12. So that leaves us one question. What are we going to do? The world seems all gloom and doom for us, but it doesn't have to be that way. So, what are we going to do? Quite simply, we need acceptance. Acceptance everywhere. Acceptance here in the U.S., acceptance abroad, acceptance on Pluto, wherever you want acceptance. But in order to accept this, you can't just accept the name autism. In order to accept autism, you of course need to accept the common autistic behaviors like lack of eye contact, direct communication, being obsessive, my terrible sense of humor, and much more. Why are you laughing? I'm not funny. But we'll need more than just acceptance. We also need activism, both here in the U.S. and abroad. We need labor unions to fight for fair wages and employment opportunities. We'll need to be recognized as an underrepresented group so that way we can benefit from some of the same programs available to others. It would also be useful to have an expansion of services available for adults because while there are a lot of services, the overwhelming majority are only offered towards children. Once you reach 18 or 21, drop off, you're on your own. Good luck, Jacob, have fun! But that is the key. So, to wrap it up, y'all didn't laugh at my food pun. I'm very disappointed. Laugh! There we go. To wrap it up, I'm making my own personal commitment to help build, strengthen, and lead this movement. And it all starts with education. You see, I intend to reach out to every single American college campus organization that I can find that is dedicated to the fight for autism acceptance. So that way I can unite them in a collective network known as the Team of Autistic Campus Organizations, or as I like to call it, the taco. We finally have our taco, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoy it. You can go get... Available only at Jacob Ministries. I know that there's a place for us in the world economy, of course. When Hans Asperger conducted his research, he was one of the founders of Spectrum. He postulated that if we had the opportunity to aggressively or even just remotely pursue our intense, special, narrow interests, we could achieve extraordinary things. For example, Satoshi Tajiri, he's the creator of Pokemon, and Temple Grandin, they've proven it, but they couldn't do without the opportunity to do so. So, call me up, WWE. I got you. But, back to the taco. What does the taco do? Why do we have the taco? Well, the taco, it could help students find compatible roommates, as I mentioned before. It can help them find references for job applications, more sensory-friendly environments, professional connections, maybe offer some scholarships to students here and there, and it can serve as an advocacy group for their wants and needs. It's going to be great. We're going to make tacos great again. Frederick Douglass once said, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress." So I say right here, right now, let's welcome this struggle. I hope all of you listening here tonight and listening around the world partake in it. Thank you very much, Oxford. Good night.